Good morning, Maple Ridge CRC Church family. Just want to talk about waiting. We're all waiting for life to return to some kind of normal, waiting to pick up the many things that we've had to put down, waiting to reschedule so many pieces of our lives that have been postponed. We wait. We don't know how much longer we wait for. Waiting isn't always easy. Recently, God reminded me of some of the ways that He sustained me during another season of waiting in my life. I revisited some journaling I did back in 2016 and 2017, a season of waiting in my life, waiting for my brain to recover from a severe concussion, waiting, wondering what might be returned, what might be lost forever. Again and again, God brought me back to the story of the manna. You know, it can be a great feeling to go to Costco, to stock up on things, to buy in bulk. In our Costco cart, you would always find tortilla chips, toilet paper, milk, yogurt, blocks of cheese, coffee. I could go on. You come home, you fill the cupboards. Maybe you have a shelf in your garage. You know you don't have to go back for a while. You're stocked up. Of course, I'm talking about life a few months ago. But here's the thing, God is not operating a Costco store when it comes to His grace. God doesn't allow us to buy grace in bulk. He doesn't invite us to stock up so we don't need to come back to Him for a while. No, God gives grace one day at a time, which when we stop and think about it is good news, because that's how the story of our lives unfold, one day at a time. That's the space that we live in. And in our waiting, we're drawn back to the story of manna in the wilderness. God's people had evidence that God could be trusted. He just delivered them from their slavery and bondage with signs of His power, of His love. But now, as they went into the wilderness, they had to learn a new discipline of trust. And it came in the form of manna. Well, manna would be there every morning, bread from heaven falling afresh on the ground each day. You could take as much as you needed for the day. You just couldn't take tomorrow's bread today. Well, you could try, and I'm sure some did, but if you took tomorrow's bread, it rotted overnight. It became full of worms. It smelled awful. You had to throw it out. Must have taken them a while to adjust. Going to bed with a full stomach and empty cupboards. They had to trust. Just like today's bread was there, tomorrow's bread will be there tomorrow. And do you realize they lived that way for 40 years? 40 years. One day at a time. And once you walk in daily dependence on God, you have to keep walking that way. It's not a one-off, but a daily discipline of trusting God for His grace for today. God gives Himself every day, but He does it one day at a time. One of the people who helped me greatly during my season of waiting was Betsy Childs Howard. Her book, Seasons of Waiting, Walking by Faith When Dreams Are Delayed, sustained and nourished me. Reflecting on manna, she asks a simple yet important question. Can you trust God to get you through today? If the answer is yes, then you have what it takes to survive for the long haul. You just need to ask yourself the same question tomorrow. Can you trust God to get you through today? I'm not great at waiting. I'm learning to wait. I still have a long way to go, but God is gracious. God still gives grace every day. You know, no matter how good of a job I did yesterday, His promise of Himself, it's still there for me today. Daily grace, that's what I need. That's what we all need, a daily experience of God's manna, of God's presence, of God's grace that will sustain us today. No more, no less. I'll need the same thing tomorrow. We all will. But that's for tomorrow, one day at a time. Another who helped me years ago was Catherine Wolfe. She writes her story of God's grace through catastrophic suffering that radically changed her life, and she learned this life and discipline of trust each day. She offers this wise invitation, and with this I'll close. We knew all too well that no single one of us knows what tomorrow holds, or even what the night holds for that matter. It's unnatural, against every animal instinct in us, to release ourselves into that reality. But God calls us there, to that place of surrender where he invites us to rest, secure in arms more capable and more loving than our own. I'm going to share more about waiting next week in the blogs, and I just want to invite you, if you haven't done so already, did you go out and collect the manna you need for today, one day at a time? God be with you.